Hello friends, I came upon a very interesting position and this is black's to play. In this position first let's understand the properties of both white and black. Uh, Firstly the king which is in the center, not castle, which is a bad thing. Second thing I spotted is this bishop, the weakness, which is not developed. So obviously we should develop the pieces, do castling as soon as possible. These are the basic things. So in this position this two is point, castling and development is the weakness of white. So the plus points, rook is having an open file, queen attacking the pawn, knight center, this is also active, pawn structure good. So white is having a nice position with two weaknesses. Now black's point of view, king safe, castling done, good. Bishop f6, fine, countering the center knight. This bishop is bad bishop. Why? No place to go, no any active squares, nothing. Rest, this pawn is also weak. Isolated pawn. We should not make isolated pawns, and the two in the center, which can be attacked by three pieces. Let's see what black's played. Bishop cross d4. Interesting choice because black is giving away his active bishop to the opponent and his inactive bishop c6 is not exchanged. And as we know, we should always trade the bishops or the pieces which are not active instead of the active pieces. Now white is having two options, e cross d4, rook cross d4. In the game it was rook cross d4. Now let's see what happens if it is e cross d4. Pawn takes bishop. Interestingly, white will be playing bishop e2, then castle. So that should be stopped. The queen g5, attacking the g2 pawn so that bishop cannot develop. Now g3, rook f e8 check, bishop e2, queen g4. This position is actually good for black. First, same thing, castle not done. Same, the king is in the center, open for the attacks of black. Rook is attacking the bishop on e2, whereas the queen is also attacking. Now what will be the plan? Plan is simple, queen will be on h3, rook double, rook e7 and rook a8. Then we can sure play knight f6, bringing the knight to the game. Then bishop b7 and to a6, and it's a very good position, and white will have only to sit and see what black's doing. White played rook cross d4, and it's simple, knight c4, queen d1, knight e6. Black is bringing the knight to the king side. Rook d2. Now white is planning for bishop e2 and castling. So black found a very interesting way to stop all these developments and maintaining the attack on the king. d4, e cross d4, sacrificing a pawn so that we get an open file, that is the e file. This one, yes. And bishop e2 is stopped because of g2 weakness. And suddenly we can see this bishop on c6 is a very active piece. So one pawn for white, in return an open file, king is in the center of white, and g2 weakness and a very active piece of black, that is bishop c6. Rook e8. In this position we are having a discovered check attack. Knight can go to any square, knight can take the pawn, the rook will give the check. It's a very simple idea, but it's very effective. Now a move is there, d5. d5 actually, okay, it can be played, but in the game it was played f3. So d5 simple, knight f4, check, discover check, bishop e2. I think bishop e2 is kind of forced. Knight cross g2 check, king f1, bishop d7, very interesting move. King cross g2 sacrificing the knight, queen g5 check, king f1, bishop h3, this is very basic, king e1, queen g2, and black gets the rook on h1. As rook f1 is of no use because queen cross f1 checkmate. This bishop is pinned by this rook. It's a very interesting continuation. So white played f3 to avoid all this confusions. f3 idea simple, to save this pawn which will allow bishop to develop and to castling. It's a very simple idea. Now black found out a very interesting calculation combination and did not stop the attack, which was very important, because once you stop the attack, white will be having time, white will gain time, white will do development and castling, the only weakness of white, and then black will be having a pawn down, and this I think will be a kind of pass pawn, a well protected pass pawn. It's very dangerous. So black found out the very interesting move, bishop cross f3, totally destroying the king side, and now there is no use of castling from white because the king side is destroyed totally. The queen f3 will be a blunder because we saw we are having a discover check. It's very easy. So g cross f3, forced move. Now queen h4 check, rook f2, knight cross d4 check, discover check, bishop e2. As we can see, slowly white's all the pieces are in a cramped position, nobody can move actually. This rook is pinned by the queen, this bishop is pinned by this rook. Simple knight cross f3 check, king f1, forced move, queen h3 check, rook g2, this is also forced, no other moves. In this position black played knight h4. Well, there was a better move, I think. Rook a d8 was much better. Tactically this position is totally winning for black. As we can see, white will defend his queen either by moving or placing the knight on d5 square. So let's first see knight d5. It is very simple, knight h4, rook h g1, only move, queen f5, gaining the piece with lots and lots of material advantage. So it's definitely winning for black. Now what happens if after rook g2, rook a d8, queen moves, say queen c2, then knight d2 check, king f2, rook cross e2, knight cross e2, queen f3 check. Now it is very simple. If queen g1, then queen f1 checkmate, and if king e1, then we are getting the rook on g2, and also a winning position. So in my analysis, rook at d8 was a better move, though knight h4 is also winning. Then white played rook h g1, rook at d8, same thing, queen e1. So this is the difference actually. Now white is having this e1 square for the queen, but first, instead of knight h4, if we have played rook at d1, then this square is not available for white. So this was the difference. Queen e1, rook d3, bringing more pressure to the game. My next will be rook de3, or even if possible I think rook f3 check, but no, rook to e3 is better. Queen f2, knight f3, brilliant move. As this rook is pinned, we can always have this pawn, give a check. Definitely now this is not possible. Bishop cross d3, then knight h2 checkmate. So after knight f3, knight b5, say like this type of moves also not possible because of rook d1 check, bishop forced, and our idea was successful. Knight h2 checkmate. And in this position, after knight f3, queen g3 type of moves lost directly to the discovered check, knight d2, and we are having the queen. So in this position we can see rook g2, queen f2, bishop e2, all these three pieces, the major pieces of white, even the knight on c3 cannot move. So first move in this position to save this pawn on h2, so rook h1. Now the game is simply winning for black. Rook d3, building up pressure. Black has to just wait and black will be winning. White don't have any move. Rook h g1, king h8, just a waiting move. Rook h1. Okay, king h8 is a very interesting move. This shows that black is also prepared for white's tactical moves. Like, don't know when it may be possible for white to take rook g7 check or something, may allow white for counter attack if black has to move the queen from this square. So it's very nice. King h8, we must always respect this type of moves. King rook h1, b5, the ultimate blow. And how interesting, the ultimate blow in this position is given by the pawn. So interesting. So all the pieces, queen, knight, double rooks, and the pawns are having a very active part in this game from black's side, and white's all pieces except the rook on h1 can move. Nothing can be played from white's side. b5, very good move, threatening. b4, knight will be moving from there and black wins. a3, just for just has to play something. a5, cannot play b4 right now because the knight on c3 is hanging. Rook h g1 only move. b4, knight d1, rook cross e2, queen cross e2. It's a winning. Rook cross e2, king cross e2, knight cross g1, rook cross g1, b cross a3, b cross, queen cross h2. These are only the moves. White resigns in this position. Else what he will do? Nothing. Three pawns, all a pass pawn. Queen versus rook knight. So this is a very interesting game. Every move of black was a brilliant move, and white could not do anything. So guys, castling should be done as soon as possible. That is the golden rule. Second, we must develop the pieces as soon as possible. Otherwise, players like black are going to destroy your king side like this way. That's very interesting. Hope you like this video. Thank you for watching, and please like and share.